This is Life with Psychic Suzanna on 1110 KFAB. Helping you find emotional, spiritual, and physical balance. What does your future hold? It's time to find out with Psychic Suzanna.
Yes, you are right where you need to be. This is Life with Psychic Suzanna on 1110 KFAB. Now, you can always find us at PsychicSuzanna.com, where you get the schedule, you get to ask a free question, you get, I'm going to be in town this week, so be sure and check it out. Go to KFAB.com, and then you can listen to all the old shows, and we've had some doozies. You know, I always say this show is about empowering you, and I bring on these great authors. In all honesty, it's about empowering me. And it's great having these authors that we've had on that have helped us grow so much. Please join us at Life with Psychic Suzanna on Facebook. That you get the inside note of who's going to be on this coming week. Also join us at Susanna Stickney on Facebook and Twitter. I'm there for you guys. I try to give you one positive thought every day and let you know what I'm thinking about and how we can work to make this world a better way. Today's guest is quite interesting guest. In all honesty, I always do research on the person. I was blown away with his webpage. He sent me 3 books. His name is Guy Finley. He sent me 3 books, and I have readers who read my books. Well, one of the readers would not give back the book. Very tacky guy. He said, I want to buy it. Let me have it. I'll buy it from you. So I could have made a killing on it, but I didn't. And the other one hasn't given it back either. So if there's anything I can tell you about Guy Finley, is that he is an author that has many people who love his writings. And one of the readers told me that he writes in little sound bites, almost like if you were reading a book, sound bites, that you have to put down the book, think about, and come back to. So I want to welcome Guy Finley. Hello, Guy.
Hi, Susanna.
What a pleasure it is talking to you. We had an earlier talk, and I'm really embraced with your energy. I love your integrity. One of the things I love is that you offer so much free on your website. You explained that to me. Tell me why you offer so much free on your website.
Well, the bottom line is, Susanna, that these things that I talk about, I'm given them freely, if you will. And when it comes to the proper way for a human being to be empowered, it's right to pass along these ideas so that more of us can begin to live from who and what we really are, so that we don't hurt each other, so that we make the world a better place, and by and large grow as individuals so that everyone else around us can experience that same true benefit.
Well, now, you are the director of Life and Learning Foundation and author of 35 books.
Yes.
About empowerment. By the way, I only got 3. I don't want to make you feel guilty about that. But I'm looking forward to investigating you more. Quite a great website. But what got you on this path? You know, what got you on this path? Tell me about your beginning. What made you go into developing the mind and the heart and the soul so it can heal?
When I was a very, very actually young boy, Susanna,
mm-hmm.
I was fortunate. I was raised in a successful show business family.
Mm-hmm.
My father was really was considered the pioneer of late night television talk show genre, and before. People don't know anymore much the name of Jack Parr. It's Johnny Carson we remember, but prior to these men, my father innovated the talk show on the West Coast. And as a result, to make a very long story short, because I know we have little time, I was raised with the sons and daughters of the Hollywood Illuminati. My best friend growing up was the Arnezes and the Sinatras and the Manellis. And from the time that I was young, I remember thinking to myself that something isn't right. Why is there so much anger, so much fear? Why are these adults so prone to demanding that they're given respect when they've already been given everything in the world? And in short, I couldn't explain why so many people that had so much were so unhappy, because the world says that that's the way that we become happy is through power and possessions. And it didn't make sense. And literally from 11 years old, I began to want to understand this contradiction. And my life has been about that pursuit of what real strength, of real courage is about.
So the real courage has nothing to do with possessions and nothing to do with physical gains, but spiritual, emotional gains. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Here's the real nature of courage.
Okay.
It's understanding that no matter what happens to you in any given moment of your life, it happens to you so that you can learn something from it and become a better human being. Nothing happens to us that cannot be turned into a new strength, a new courage, and a new understanding.
So how can we be fearless living if we are engulfed with the fear of stepping out of our drama?
Well, it's impossible, but that's the point. I mean,
wait a minute, back up. It's impossible to move forward.
What I mean is, as long as Suzanna, we have only the stories that we have been told growing up, only the stories that our culture and our present social values pass along to us, how can we do anything other than to see the world through the eyes of that story? But that isn't the only story.
Okay.
And the point of true spiritual life is to help individuals, true religious life, if you will, is to help individuals realize that there is another story, and that any story that comes along and tells us that we need to be afraid or worried or fawn, that we need to feel inadequate in the face of a given moment for fear of what we may lose, that's the false story, not the true story. And we begin to come upon the real story as we see through and let go of the false story.
And now you talk about the inner voice, correct?
Well, not the inner voice.
Oh, what is the words you use exactly? You talk about listening to the voice of power within, isn't it?
I talk about our true nature, our true self.
Okay.
Yes, I use that language quite often.
All right. How do we know that it's our true self voice? How do we know it's not an evil voice who wants us to think that we're the end all and be all of everything? How do we keep away from ego? How do we trust that inner voice?
We have been given as human beings probably the single greatest gift of any creature anywhere, and that is that we have a little used, little understood capacity to bring our attention to whatever we want to give our attention to. We can, Suzanne, be aware of what we want to be aware of. Now, let me explain briefly. It not so much these days, but it used to be that when people had chickens, one of the ways they determined if the egg was fertile, if it had been fertilized, if it was viable, is they would candle the egg. Do you remember that, candling an egg?
No, I'm too young and innocent, but go with the story anyway.
Well, you candle an egg, you would hold it up to the light so that you could see what was going on inside of the egg. That's a pretty easy picture to understand.
Right.
Well, we have a certain kind of awareness, Suzanne, and we can bring this awareness to any thought or any feeling that comes up in us. For instance, many times we'll become anxious. Now, when we get anxious or afraid, those anxious thoughts and feelings will say, hey, Guy, Suzanne, here's what you need to do to be safe. Here's what you have to do to get rid of this terrible fear or feeling that you've got. And when that happens, we are listening to a kind of thought, a kind of force, tell us what it is and what we have to do to be free of it. But anxious thoughts and feelings fearful worries do not want us to be free of them. They promise us a time in the future where, if we accept their guidance, we will come to a point in our life where we find this freedom. What I'm saying is that we find freedom now, not later, and the freedom isn't from a power that we acquire by gaining something, but by seeing through where we have unknowingly agreed to make ourselves powerless.
Wow.
And we make ourselves powerless when we cling to these negative thoughts and feelings and accept their guidance as being the same as the voice of God, or whatever we call it. Because these negative thoughts and feelings, they want to live just as much as we do, and they will use our life, as they always have, by giving us a time to come when, if we do what they say to do, we'll be free. And all of us know this fact. We have never found freedom once by actually doing what a negative thought or feeling tells us to do. Instead, we find more captivity, because not only do we not get where we want to get to, but now we believe more than before in these same negative voices.
Wow. That was profound. Thank God this is going up on the air and we can listen to it again and again. Guy, we're going to take a little break. I'm talking to Guy Finley. He is a phenomenal author. He also is the creator of, what was the group again?
It's Life of Learning Foundation.
The Life of Learning Foundation. And we will be back in a few minutes with Guy Finley of the Life of Learning Foundation. This is Life with Psychic Suzanna. Stay tuned. This is powerful stuff. Let's get out of our stuff and get happy. And we'll be right back.
This is Life with Psychic Suzanna on 1110 KFAB.
Yes, you are right where you need to be. This is Life with Psychic Suzanna on 1110 KFAB. You can find us at psychicsuzanna.com, KFAB.com. We are the 50,000-watt cultural revolution right here. We are taking you out of your past into your future. And today's guest is the director of Life and Learning Foundation, author of 35 books and self-empowerment, Guy Finley. Awesome website on Guy Finley. His official website is Guy Finley, I believe. Is that correct?
It's guyfinley.org.
Okay. I was amazed at all the free material you have and all the web things you have on there. As we left the last conversation, one of the things you have are some articles that you can download and listen to and read and things. And one of them is to detect, stop, and drop inner voices. By the way, that was written on 8/17/08. I'm just so excited I found all this out. So, like a little kid in a candy store, your website was so cool. So if we detect, stop, drop inner voices, how do we know if they're from spirit? And how do we know that these are the ones we have to drop?
Well, I think the first answer is that we are here in this world as we are for the purpose of growing into a new understanding about ourselves and about the nature of love and truth and all the things that we hold dear and true to ourselves. So there is you can't, Suzanne, say, okay, well, here's the way you tell this from that. But there are certain things that are obvious. Any voice, any feeling, any thought inside of you that tells you it's necessary to be afraid, mm-hmm. that tells you that it's right to hate someone, mm-hmm. that there's a valid reason to regret your past, that mm-hmm. worry somehow can bring you a life that doesn't have that doubt in it. Those thoughts and feelings belong to those bad eggs. You see, it's so hard in the short time we have, but when I said that we have the capacity to be able to see actually look into the quality of our own thoughts and feelings, it's not an exaggeration. If you go outside on a beautiful night and you look and you see a beautiful night sky or you see a beautiful body of water, when you look at the thing that you see, you are automatically feeling the beauty, the depth, the timelessness of the thing that you see. And the reason that you can feel and see this is because much of the idea of this body of water or this timeless sky being outside of me, well, yeah, it's out there, but you couldn't see it and know it if it weren't in you as well. And that means that when we are capable of, instead of just blindly following some anxious or heartache thought or feeling, and bring our attention back to ourselves in the moment and say, wait a minute, I can tell by the pain that I'm in, by this kind of resistance I'm feeling, that this thought, this feeling, it's not good for me. I wonder, is it really serving me, or is it trying to steal something from me? And in that moment, Suzanne, you can look at this thought or feeling, and if you see this anxiety for what it is, you understand this thought, this feeling is trying to steal from me my right as a human being to live free from the authority of these negative states. On the other hand, if that thought or feeling is telling me, look, it's going to hurt you to tell the truth here, or it's going to be difficult, but you need to take this step. You need to go ahead and follow your heart. In those moments, we can see that this is a right thought or feeling, because it's giving us encouragement to discover and be truer in our own lives. So these are the broad strokes. Does it steal from me? Is it taking from me my possibility of being free from these negative thoughts or feelings? Or is it actually encouraging me to be further identified with these thoughts and feelings that are stealing my life?
How important do you think faith is in a person's development? One of the things in my appearances, by the way, I have a thing about worry. I call worry an insult to God. I had a client today who was just crying out of fear. Yeah. And I said, that worry is an insult to God, and you're giving it so much power. Yeah. How do we stop? If our tribe has told us, you have to worry. You have to be fearful.
Yeah.
How do we're grown up with it.
That's right.
That those people over there don't look like us. They don't act like us. They have the wrong beliefs. My beliefs are right. How do we get to the unity of that understanding of the other individual and to find peace in the moment?
It really boils down to a very simple understanding. And that simple understanding is that what I must do in every moment of my life, as best I'm capable of doing it, is I must see what it is that I am in this moment. Not what you are, not what they're doing, but what am I? Because if I'm willing to watch myself, to be aware of myself, Suzanne, a miracle takes place. And here it is, as simply as I can put it.
Okay.
If I sit and I'm wishing that something hadn't happened to me,
right.
I'm afraid of something that may come, my attention in that moment is actually on the thing that I don't want. To understand that resistance is negative attraction, which means the more I don't want something, the more I literally attract it to myself. And further, that our mindset, our present mind tells us, well, that's, me not wanting him to do that or me not wanting this situation is the wise thing to do, because it means that I'm different and that I'm going to change and I'm going to get away from that situation. But we can see for ourselves, in fact, we can do it quickly with the listeners. If you take your right hand, Suzanne,
mm-hmm.
and you say your right hand is what you want,
mm-hmm.
and you make your left hand what you don't want, and now you push with your right hand, which is what you want, push it against your left hand, which is what I don't want. And if I push against what I don't want, am I pushing away what I don't want, or am I actually getting closer and closer to the thing that I say I don't want?
Oh.
See?
Mm-hmm.
The more I push, the stronger the resistance becomes. This is why Christ said, resist not evil, because the true meaning of it in Arabic is that one must not resist an opposing force, because there is no opposing force outside of us. The opposing forces live in our own consciousness, and we're asleep to them. And we empower this opposing nature every time we fight with it or fight with others, because they awaken in us this thing that wants to get rid of them or change the situation. Our task is not to change the world around us. It is to awaken to the world within us. Because if we'll do that, if we'll even start to do it, that spirit that puts in us the wish to know what it means to be a true human being, it will see to our success. It's guaranteed that anyone who wants to know the truth of himself or herself will find it, and it is the truth that sets us free.
Wow. You've been amazing. I'm certainly going to have you back. We're going to take a short little break, and then I want you to wrap up by telling us how we find you, how we can get in touch with you, because you are amazing.
Thank you, Suzanne.
And this is Life with Psychic Suzanna. We will be back right away, and we're going to keep growing with us. We're all growing together. Oh, this has been too incredible. We've had Guy Finley on. Guy, we have less than 30 seconds. Tell us how to find you real quickly.
Go to guyfinley.org, GUYFINLEY, guyfinley.org, right on the homepage. There's a wonderful starter pack. It's free, MP3s, download PDF, wonderful material. And on that website, by the way, I'm going to be at the Omega Institute in September, giving a 5-day intensive. You can find out about that.
Where's that?
It's in upper state New York.
Oh, come to the Midwest where civilization
well,
is.
maybe I will, Suzanne. You and I are going to be fast friends, I can tell.
This is Life with Psychic Suzanna. What an interesting conversation we've had with Guy Finley. Next, we have someone who's I'm going to take to the task, because he tells us faith is not important. Guy would argue with that, too, I'm sure. This is Life with Psychic Suzanna, 1110 KFAB. Stay tuned. We're questioning someone who says we don't need faith, right here on Life with Psychic Suzanna on 1110 KFAB. This is Life with Psychic Suzanna on 1110 KFAB. Now, you can always find us at KFAB.com, or you go to PsychicSuzanna.com. Please join us on our Facebook with Life with Psychic Suzanna and Susanna Stickney. The Life with Psychic Suzanna will let you know what's coming on. You have heard about this author. Because the end of the world didn't happen. We are going to be talking to the author, Michael Shermer, and his book talks about why people believe weird things. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Well, so we didn't end the world this weekend. For all of those who...
We didn't know. You got to go back to work. Your mortgage or rent payment is due on Friday, and life goes on, I'm afraid.
Well, I sent out an invitation to a looting party for the day if the world didn't end.
A looting party.
Yes, but it did.
I haven't heard of that one yet. Yeah. That's good. I like that. There's been a lot of post-rapture parties.
Yeah.
I do see that... that one of the guys, Robert Fitzpatrick in New York, who spent $140,000 of his life savings on billboards in New York subways, said he was wrong. He said the 3 immortal words almost no one ever says: "I was wrong." So how about that? There's hope for humanity.
Well, I don't. It's not even about what's wrong or what's right. It's what we believe. How do we get these thoughts that we will go to our grave believing?
Right. That's the premise of the believing brain, is that our beliefs come first and the reasons to believe come second. We form our beliefs for a variety of personal, social, emotional, psychological reasons, and then we look around the landscape and find evidence to fit our particular beliefs. So if you're a conservative, you listen to conservative talk radio, you read the Wall Street Journal. If you're a liberal, you read the New York Times, you listen to progressive talk radio, and we all do this. We're members of tribes, we're very tribal, and we want to believe what our other tribe members believe, and we have channels to filter out the data, the evidence that's against our belief, and just let in the evidence that's for it. And everybody does this, religious, political, economic, social attitudes, and so on. They're all beliefs, even science. Scientific theories are beliefs, as it were, and scientists themselves have this problem, the confirmation bias of looking for confirming evidence for their beliefs, ignoring the disconfirming evidence. But in science, at least we have checks and balances. We have peer review system. We insist that some other lab rerun that experiment, see if they get the same results. We insist on peer review and so on. The reason for those things in science is because we all know that if the subject knows which condition he's in, the placebo effect may influence the results. If the experimenter knows which condition the subject is in, experimenter bias may affect the results. So we have to be very careful about these things, and that's why science is the best tool we have for understanding the world.
Well, how if you're in a tribe, how do you get the courage to look at another tribe's view?
Well, just have that's right. It takes a little bit of courage. I mean, I encourage Democrats to actually read what Republicans have to say, not in the light of how can I debunk them, but actually see if you can restate their position in your own words. That's a great task for debaters. See if you can state what the other guy believes in your own words, and I'd encourage the political opposite of that too. It's very hard to do that. Because we're in a particular tribe, and we want to believe what other fellow tribe members believe, and so it's true with religion, politics. I mean, here's the problem with religion. You have a Christian who believes that the world is coming to an end, and so on. Okay, so that's kind of an easy target, but in fact, all Christians believe that there will be an end times, that there will be a second coming, that there will be a judgment day. They just don't put a date on it. If they didn't believe that, they wouldn't be Christians. It's one of the central dogmas of Christianity. And yet Judaism does not hold to that. Jews do not believe that Christ is the Messiah and the Savior, and that the only way to get to heaven is through Jesus. Jews don't believe that, and neither do Muslims. Muslims believe something entirely different still about Muhammad. So how do we know which is the right one? Judaism, Islam, or Christianity? Which is the right one? Well, there's no method to determine which is the right one. It just depends on how you were raised and where you happen to be born and what influences you had.
Could we not say the right one is what makes us feel the best? Could that not be? Or is that wrong?
Well, that's
concept?
Certainly...
I mean, being a Christian, I feel that the Christian belief is where I come from, and it serves me. It supports me. So therefore, I don't look to other religions to serve me and support me. Is that a wrong belief system to have?
Well, it's a little bit different than other people who, for most people, they want it to actually be true, not just psychologically true. That's pretty intellectually honest of you to say that. I believe because it works for me. That's very rare. Actually, in America, in the modern world, people want to say, but it's actually true. It's really true. We actually have the real true religion, and those other guys are really wrong. It's unusual to hear what you just said. That takes a lot of intellectual courage to say that, because there is no method to determine which is the right one or which is the wrong one.
So if someone else has a different belief, like a Muslim, okay, and the Muslim is with my core belief, which is of do no harm, then the Muslim is not wrong, but because of our believing brain and because of our tribe, I need to make them wrong. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, if everybody had your attitude, we would not have a problem in the world. The world would be a peaceful place. The problem is there's too many people who insist that the world will not be made right until every knee is bowed before my belief, my God, my religion. And, I mean, obviously Islam is the elephant in the room now these days, isn't it? Because the extremists, want to hijack
I don't think
Islam
is the problem. I think violence is. We'll go with violence.
Well, extremism, right? It's people
any
with,
faith,
with
any
power.
faith. Yeah, you bet your booties. So how do we help ourselves open to another tribe's belief? Does the believing brain help us to understand that?
I think so. Yes. In my book, I have a whole chapter on the different biases that influence us and shape our attitudes, and how we have to look out for these things, like the top 10 things to look out for, like the confirmation bias, where you look for and find confirming evidence for what you already believe and ignore the disconfirming evidence. Be very careful about that. Be aware of the fact of which newspapers you read, which TV shows you watch, which books you read. Those are going to influence the way you believe. And so every once in a while, try to take yourself out of your comfort zone and put yourself in a place that isn't comfortable, where you read what somebody else believes, not in order to debunk them, but in order to understand them. And that alone. What's another good thing to do is travel. Traveling really makes you more open-minded to other people's beliefs, because you realize, hey, those other people, they believe as strongly as I do, and they believe something different. Maybe I don't have absolute truth. Maybe I should be a little bit more tolerant of other people's beliefs. Travel seems to do that. The Internet is doing that, just by Google searching things and going to different countries online and seeing how different people believe. That makes you a little more open-minded and tolerant. Tolerance is the key here.
Okay, and for me to understand belief dependent on realism, the best way to do that would be?
Well, read my book, The Believing Brain. That. Also, my webpage, skeptic.com, and Skeptic Magazine. That's what we're about, is open inquiry. Just, keeping an open mind. Let's look at the evidence. Let's not commit to a belief just yet if we're not sure. It's okay to say I don't know. I mean, just repeat that over and over every day. It's okay to say I don't know. We don't have to have final answers to everything, because there aren't final answers to everything.
I like the statement open inquiry. The believing brain also has us believing I'm the parent, you're the child, my way's the right way. I mean, this can go to anything that we have that limits us from our joy.
Yep, we're a social primate species, but we're also a hierarchical social species. We like our alpha males. I mean, our parents, for the most part, do give us good advice. It's good to have an authority figure tell us what to do when we don't know what's going on when we're children. The problem is that we also apply that to our political leaders when we're adults, and maybe we shouldn't do that. Maybe we should be a little skeptical of what our political leaders tell us, or our religious leaders, or our economic leaders. It's like we assume that they're like our parents and that they have the truth and they know better than we do, but that's not always the case. So it's good to be skeptical.
So it's good to be skeptical, and it's good to have an open, inquiring mind. I like that thought. When people come to me, sometimes they give up their right to believe in anything but what I tell them, and that's horrible. You have to question. You have to
think
question
for yourself.
That's right. Exactly. You have to question everything. Again, I want to thank you for being on the air. Tell me a little bit about your book and where to find it, and your webpage, please.
The Believing Brain is my new book. It's available. You can go to Amazon and order one right now. But it's out in bookstores today, Barnes & Noble, Borders, and so on. You can go to skeptic.com, my webpage, to read about what I do, and Skeptic Magazine, Scientific American. I write a monthly column for them called Skeptic. You can go in there and read it. But skeptic.com is probably the easiest portal into what the skeptical movement is about and what my work is about. So The Believing Brain is the book.
Mm-hmm. And the skeptic.com, that's good if we're all a little skeptical. I want to thank you for being on Life with Psychic Suzanna. God bless. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Okay, it's time to open up our lines. We're opening our lines for your phone calls. You can call us at 1-800-543-1110 or 558-1110. The lines are now open. You'd start dialing. Again, 558-1110, 1-800-543-1110. And when we come back, Jim is going to tell us what June is all about. This is Life with Psychic Suzanna.
With Psychic Suzanna on 1110 KFAB.
Yes, you're right where you need to be. This is Life with Psychic Suzanna on 1110 KFAB. You can find us at PsychicSuzanna.com, where you get all the info on where I am in town. I'm in town this week. You can also ask one free question. You can go to KFAB and listen to the shows again and again. And that Guy Finley was incredible. That was incredible. And you might want to need to listen to it again. Or you might just want to listen to the one we did on November 1st, who was Ron Samuelson, who is a local owner here in town of a restaurant, who talked about addiction, how to treat family members with addiction. We are about informing you. This is your place to come to empower you to get through what you're going through. Right now, you can give us a call. The number is 558-1110 or 1-800-543-1110. And right now, we're going to go to line, the 800 line. That's 800-543-1110.